Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Mark Causey here from Black Cat Comics in Rockin' Milpitas. Every Wednesday is New Comic Day and I like to give you some great reasons to get down to your local comic shop and pick up something fun to read. This week is packed with stuff that's fun to read. Gotta start with the Marvel guys. They've just got some of the biggest books in comics going on right now. This is Spider-Man #1 by J.J. Abrams. Marvel has roped in J.J. Abrams to write comics for them, and this is the first book, Spider-Man #1. This is definitely book of the week. A lot of buzz on this book on the internet. You can read more about this one in our newsletter. Really, really big deal. Everybody loves Spider-Man. Always fun to jump in on a new #1, sort of out of continuity, its own kind of thing. Do not let this one get by you this week. Like I say, it's going to be a big, big deal. Has another really cool, one of those die-cut 90s covers on it. Fun stuff there. Everybody loves Spider-Man. House of X, one of the biggest books in comics. This, along with Powers of 10, is just taking comics by storm. I hope this one's already on your sub list, or I hope you're already in line at your favorite comic shop, because these have been going faster and faster every single week. Great, great time to be an X fan. Pick up the reprints of any of these that you might have missed, because, like I say, now is the time to get back on board with all these X books. Absolute Carnage #3, another one of the hugest books in comics. To be really honest, this book totally surprised me. I knew everybody was a Venom fan. I know people like Carnage, but I was not expecting this book to just explode and sell out issue after issue, along with all of the side books like Absolute Carnage Lethal Protectors. There's a lot of these Absolute Carnage side books. I always say you don't have to read all the different stuff to get the gist of the main book. You can follow the main story, but if you really like the main book, or if you like some of these side characters, check out the side books, because they're oftentimes a lot of fun. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Speaking of a lot of fun, this title has also really exploded of late because, again, everybody really loves Spider-Man. Really dug that last issue with the cool Mary Jane story. That's your other Spider book for the week. Tony Stark Iron Man starts a new story arc this week, the Ultron Agenda. Really been digging this book. This is probably your only Avengers-esque book of the week, but Dan Slott and Jim Zub have just been kicking butt on this title. So if you're an Avengers person like I am, want to pick up Tony Stark, and this is your jump-in issue. Jane Foster Valkyrie is your Thor book for the week. A lot of buzz about this one because of the new movie and all that good stuff. Speaking of movies, Guardians of the Galaxy continues all of the big stuff that's been going on in this title. Don't want to say too much about it, but if you've been away from Guardians for a little while, you might want to go back to #7, catch up to this week's #9. A lot going on with Guardians of the Galaxy these days. Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda, because Black Panther is cool enough to carry yet another title. Everybody loving T'Challa these days. Great stuff there. Arrow, spinning out of the War of Realms stuff. And Magnificent Miss Marvel, another one of the hottest books in comics. The one I've been waiting for is this one, History of the Marvel Universe, #3, by one of my all-time favorites, Mark Waid. You can read more about this one in our newsletter. This one's been selling out. Been a lot of fun. If you missed the first couple issues, you're going to want to grab them, catch up to this week's #3. This is not some boring Marvel textbook. This is a really, really cool story that takes you all across the entirety of the continuity of the Marvel Universe. So if you're new to comics, or if you've been around for 1,000 years and love these tours through all the great stuff that you know and love, pick up History of the Marvel Universe. Great stories, great art. Like I say, Mark Waid is all-time great. And then lots of Star Wars to talk about. Age of Resistance Rey and Age of Resistance Rose. Don't make any comments about Rose. I've loved all this stuff. This Age of Resistance stuff has been a whole lot of fun. Self-contained, single-issue stories, giving you a little background on the characters that you know from all across the different Star Wars timeline. And of course, Dr. Aphra, another one of the biggest books in comics. Really anxious to see her getting into the movie timelines. That will be really cool. And Savage Sword of Conan wraps up your Marvel stuff for the week. There's 3 Conan books going on for Marvel. Conan the Barbarian, Savage Sword, Age of. Lots of barbarian action going on at Marvel these days. So if you've been missing Conan, now's your time to come back to that. And a great week for the DC guys too. Never miss an opportunity to talk up Batman from Tom King. This is #79. The issues have been rolling out fast and furious. If you read 77 and you cried, and then you read 78, now you're ready to kick Bane's butt here in 79. Great stuff going on in Batman. If you're one of the 3 people who, for some reason, have not been following this book, pick up number 75, go all the way back to volume 1, go as far back as you want. Batman has been one of the best titles in comics for a long time. If you haven't been following it, just jump into this week's issue, because, well, it's getting down to the end now. Justice League, with Commandy there on the cover. I picked up some early Commandys just this week. Love me some Commandy, love me anything from the great mind of Jack Kirby. Justice League is, boy, one of the biggest books DC has right now. A lot going on with all this Year of the Villain stuff. I've always said Justice League should be the event book of the DC Universe. And that's pretty much what they got going on right now. If you haven't been following Justice League, if you don't know much about Commandy, or for whatever reason, pick up this latest issue because it's really good. Speaking of Year of the Villain Lex Luthor. You don't get any more villainous than Lex Luthor. Probably the 3rd greatest villain in comics behind Joker and Reggie Mantle. There, I said it. Anyway, all of these one-shots have been really awesome. Grab that Riddler one, the Sinestro one. Big time for all these DC villains. Speaking of Lex Luthor, Superman number 15 from the great mind of Brian Michael Bendis. I've been loving all of this super stuff. Bendis has just been doing a knockout job with action and Superman. Great time to be a super fan like that one. Like Supergirl, another one of your Year of the Villain tie-ins. Or like Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. Been loving Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. I love the original run back in the day. This current run is just as wacky and just as much fun as the old school run. If you're a super fan like me, you definitely want to get up on this one. And Lois Lane for that matter. Flash Forward. It's your Flash book of the week. This one picks up after the tragic events of Heroes in Crisis. If you loved Heroes in Crisis, if you're any kind of Flash fan, you're going to want to pick this one up because it has a lot to do with the future of DC's best speedster. Nightwing, another Year of the Villain book. Another one of my favorite Bat titles. Aquaman, another Year of the Villain book, and another one of my favorite titles. Aquaman has been really solid ever since the beginning of the New 52 run, as far back as I can remember, actually. Always been a big fan of Aquaman. They do a great job with his title, and the Rebirth run has been really good. And The Inferior Five is the first issue of your new mini-series. Always fun to see something from The Inferior Five. If you don't know much about this wacky team, pick up this first issue. Really one of the more unique concepts of comics. And High Level is your Vertigo book of the week because DC does much more than just their standard superhero universe stuff. Great stuff for the DC guys. And an amazing week for all the other guys. Big old stack of independents. Love talking about the great job all the other publishers do. Like this guy. This is your latest issue of Hellboy. One of my all-time favorites. You know, I never miss a chance to talk up Mike Mignola and the amazing genre fusion he does with all the Hellboy titles. A little bit horror, a little bit sci-fi, a little bit superhero, a little bit of everything you want in comics. Great stories, great art. Never miss a chance to talk up some Hellboy. Or Black Hammer, The Age of Doom. Also, don't miss a chance to talk up Jeff Lemire. I love Black Hammer. This has been really cool. Sort of a new and interesting take on sort of the classic tropes of Golden Age and Silver Age comics. Great stuff. Grab the volume 1 and start checking out all this Black Hammer stuff before it takes your streaming channels by storm. And a great week for IDW. Napoleon Dynamite gets his own comic. You've been waiting years and years to see Napoleon Dynamite in his comic. And now here it is. You know, I'm always talking of the great job Dynamite does with all of their licensed property stuff. I love the movie, you love the movie, so I'm really anxious to see if the comic is just as awesome as the movie. G.I. Joe #1, IDW kicking off a whole new round of G.I. Joe comics. They've been doing an excellent job satisfying the Joe fans, satisfying all the 80s readers. Obey Cobra. Cool stuff there. If you've been out of G.I. Joe for a long time, this is your chance to jump back in with a brand new title. And Transformers, along with Star Trek Year 5, show you a little bit of what IDW does best. Kiss, the hottest band in the land. My Dynamite book of the week. But Red Sonja, Vampirella, and James Bond show you a little of what Dynamite does best. Along with IDW, these guys do a really great job with all their licensed property stuff, and this week is a great example of all of that. Along with Boom Studios doing Firefly. Been talking up the great job Boom Studios has been doing with all the Whedonverse books. I love me some Firefly and Serenity. The book has all the same feels as the show, so that's good stuff. But Once in Future, number 2, is your Boom Studios book of the week. This book has been red hot. Number 1 has already gone through like 4 printings, so I hope you were fortunate enough to grab the first issue of this series. You're going to want to grab this second issue. If you're a fan of The Wicked and the Divine, if you're a fan of cool King Arthur stories, if you're just a fan of great comics, great stories, and great art, like we like to say around here, dig up one of those printings of Once in Future number 1 and grab this week's number 2 before it's gone. Love lots of things from Boom Studios. Blade Runner 2019 is another one of my favorite books. I'm a big sci-fi fan, big fan of the original Blade Runner. This book has been really awesome. Again, number 1 has gone through multiple printings already. I hope you were lucky enough to grab one of those. Grab number 2, grab this week's number 3. Really digging this book. It sets perfectly in the world of the original movie, but it's a brand new story, new characters, new everything. If you love sci-fi, if you love Blade Runner, you're going to want to get up on this series. Rick and Morty and Dungeons and Dragons. This is the second series from Rick and Morty versus D&D. Fun stuff there. That's your Oni book of the week. Archie, 1955. Love talking up Archie comics and the incredible range of things that they're doing right now. I just can't say enough about this. This video could go on for an hour and a half as I talk to you about all of the awesomeness that is Archie. They did Archie 1941, which was, well, its own take on that era. This is Archie 55. Again, just sort of its own kind of continuity, but if you love the Archie characters, if you love the Archie stuff like I do, you're going to want to get up on this one. Or Archie vs. Predator 2, obviously the second series of Archie vs. Predator. You ain't seen nothing until you've seen the Predator attack Riverdale. Good stuff. Like I say, there's an endless range of things that Archie is doing with their universes these days. So check out their mainstream line, check out the horror line, check out the classic All Ages Digest stuff like they've always been doing. It's a great time to be a fan of Archie and Archie comics. And it's a good week for the all ages stuff too. Marvel Action, Captain Marvel. Been talking of the great job IDW's been doing with the Marvel line of all ages stuff. They do Marvel Action, Avengers, and Black Panther, Captain Marvel. Lots of great stuff for the young reader in your life, or for you if you're looking for something just a little lighter, something a little different. Teen Titans Go is a little piece of hilarity that's just as awesome as the animated feature. And My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, because you guys just can't get enough pony. Great stuff there. Always encouraging you guys to have an all ages book on your list. Great stuff this week, so check those shipping lists. Make sure you take a good look around. Pick up something new, something different, something fun. I want to mention that this Saturday is Batman Day. Every year DC's cool enough to set us up with Batman Day, where we honor and celebrate the Caped Crusaders. As you can see, I've got my whole back wall here done up in Bat books. Everything this Saturday will be 25% off. Everything Batman, and that's Batman, Catwoman, Nightwing, that's comics, trades, t-shirts, toys, whatever you like. It's Batman Day this Saturday, the 21st. It's a nationwide thing, so if you can't get down here to Rock and Milpitas, get down to your local comic shop and see what they're doing for Batman Day. Do not miss Batman Day, because it's super awesome. Special thanks to Bob Kane and Bill Finger. That's all we got for you for this week. You can check us out at black-cat-comics.com and check out our especially cool Shopify store. Check out the Facebook page, the YouTube channel. Check out the podcast at soundcloud.com. Or just get on down here to the good old brick and mortar in Rockin' Milpitas. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.